This morning, I want to talk about the consequence of painful events. Painful events that human beings experience, they don't just go away. They don't just evaporate. People carry the pain with them. They carry the brokenness sometimes with them. And so how does all of that play out? I want to speak about how human beings carry pain and what that means for them and what that means for the people around them and what that means for us as those who want to be supportive, but also who we ourselves sometimes carry pain that can break us or threaten to break us at times. So we started off this morning's Torah reading with a description about the death of Sarah, our matriarch, at the age of 127. And the rabbis, in studying her death, wanted to understand what the cause was. So you could say, well, maybe the cause at the age of 127 was what the singer James Taylor might have called extreme old age. 127. That qualifies as dying of old age. But the rabbi said, actually, there was a reason, and it wasn't simply that she expired. They believed that when she received notice that her husband, in fulfillment of God's command, had almost sacrificed their child, that her spirit, her ruach, left her. She couldn't bear to continue to exist in the world, knowing that something like this could happen. Somehow the pain of the world, the tragedy of the world overwhelmed her, and she simply couldn't continue. And now we also know that Isaac, after this episode, being bound on the altar by his father, had his own life changed. We don't know exactly how, but we imagine that he carried the pain in his heart and in his mind. And what is remarkable is that of all of the patriarchs, he is the only one of whom it is said specifically that he loved his spouse. The Torah says about his relationship to Rivka, Vaye'ehaveha. So somehow through his own pain, his own response to that trauma, he managed to find and to show love. Painful events have consequences. The pain doesn't just evaporate. Human beings carry it with them. In recent weeks, we have heard more and more from the released hostages, the Israelis who were held hostage in Gaza from a month to over 2 years. And you may have seen videos of them speaking about their experiences. One released hostage, Rabbi, wrote a book about his experiences. Others have written extensive accounts. I find them moving. I find them agonizing. There are elements of resilience that these individuals demonstrated that are truly inspiring. We can wonder who among us would have had the strength and the fortitude to withstand what they withstood. This morning, I want to focus on an account shared by a young man by the name of Ram Broslavsky. He was 19 when he was abducted into Gaza, served as a security guard at the Nova Festival where hundreds were killed and many abducted on October 7th, 2023. He helped for hours to evacuate concert goers before he himself was taken into Gaza by Palestinian Islamic Jihad, held captive for over 2 years. And he has described the experience, and I'm not going to describe it in detail in this space, but you are welcome to access these videos if you wish and to discover more in depth what he experienced. He said, "Chazarti mipigisha im hasatan." I have returned from an encounter with the devil. That is how he described his experience. One thing which he described, which I will share, is that he was emaciated. The Islamic Jihad released a video of him looking extremely weak and speaking about his broken state. And at a certain point, his captor said, if you agree to convert to Islam, we will share our delicious lunch with you. And he said, I was born a Jew and I will die a Jew. And he refused the food. He is still traumatized. He is still very much broken. And I share a portion of his account because I think that it is human nature that we want to focus on the resilience. We want to get to a kind of happy ending, even though there may not be a full happy ending for him or for others who experienced what he did. And he doesn't allow us to blithely leap to a place of affirmation because he shares the depths of his traumatic experience in an unflinching way. And that is true, I am sure, of others as well. Something that I shared last week in a smaller setting, I want to share in this larger setting. So our tradition, like many religious traditions, is so wise. And you know that when Moses came down from the mountain with the tablets and the children of Israel were dancing before the egel, before this calf, Moses threw the tablets down, the tablets broke. He was so angry with the people. And then God replaced the broken tablets with complete tablets. And so there is a tradition, a midrashic tradition that says the following. When the children of Israel wandered in the desert, they had this ark which contained the tablets, and they carried both of the sets with them. They carried the broken tablets and the whole tablets. They carried both sets with them through the wilderness. And I find this to be so wise and so inspiring as a metaphor for what most human beings do. We carry our brokenness with us. We don't just get rid of it. We don't just magically transcend it. Anytime our hearts are broken, anytime our expectations are brutally unmet, we carry that brokenness with us, but we also carry the whole, the promise of the whole. We can carry both with us. So when we think of Ram, and when we think of the other released hostages, and when we think of all whose lives have been impacted by this war, we should understand that the brokenness is not magically going to disappear. And I hope that we can look and feel and empathize and offer as much direct and indirect support as we can to those who are carrying genuine brokenness with us. And I want to expand. Clearly, these are very remarkable, agonizing, unusual circumstances. But another ask that I have for each of us, when you bump into somebody, when you're having an argument with somebody, when you see someone and for whatever reason you are feeling like you want to lean in with anger or pique or maybe even judgment, to just give the other person a little bit of a break, to be a little bit gentle in that moment, because there is a decent chance that there is something broken that has come from some place that we don't understand, that that other person is carrying with them. Who knows what somebody else is carrying? So why not lean in gently? Sarah, Isaac, on and on and on throughout the generations into the present day. Now, I want to conclude by offering a vignette of a moment of incredible resilience. There have been many such moments that we have been witness to, and others that we have not been witness to, that have taken place. I'll speak specifically of Israel. There was another released hostage by the name of Alon Ohel. a pianist, and he apparently, while held hostage, in order to focus his thoughts and in order to connect to his own resilience, would practice the piano, just playing his fingers on his chest, rehearsing songs that he knew, and I think he also was composing new melodies. So he recently was on stage doing a recording of a song by David Broza, and the song is called Mitachat Lashamayim, Under the Heavens, and he did it with the cast of Eretz Nehederet. And usually they do wicked satire, but there was no satire here. It was just a sincere and gentle singing of the song. And I want you to understand, to the extent that you may not, that in Israel, public singing, known as Shira B'Tzibur, it's a means of spiritual connection and healing. Israelis get together and they sing songs, part of a corpus of songs that people know. And so this was Shira B'Tzibur, and I'll just share a portion of this song. On some level, it's a simple love song. There are two lovers that are looking up at the heavens, looking up at the sky, and they say, Banu lechan, mitachat lashamayim, shenayim kemo zugenayim. We have come to this place under the heavens, the two of us like a pair of eyes. Yesh lanu zman, mitachat lashamayim, beintayim, anu odkan. We have time under the sky, but meanwhile, we are still here. Anachnu od kan. So this is the song that Alon Ohel is singing with his extended family in Israel. And the very last verse, V'lamrot ha'pe'er, v'lamrot ha'ke'ev, v'lamrot ha'tsa'ar, ani ohev, ve'ohev, ve'ohev. In spite of the gap and in spite of the pain, I love and love and love. So I leave us with this image of the whole and the broken whole within the broken and the broken within the whole, as those who have been through the worst somehow inspire us to continue to love and to love and to love. Shabbat Shalom.